Round 8 of the 2026 season takes us to the fast and scenic Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria. The circuit has featured on the calendar periodically since 1970 and has been a mainstay in the mid-season since 2014. The Red Bull Ring is one of the shortest on the calendar and gives us the quickest lap times of the year. Last year's pole sitter Lando Norris completed a lap in under 1 minute and 4 seconds. Despite only featuring 10 corners, this circuit is usually a good one for overtaking. The run up to turn 3 is a popular spot, as is the run down afterwards to turn 4. The weather at the moment, much like here, looks very hot and dry, about 33 degrees Celsius, that's 91 Fahrenheit, a little bit warmer than what we had in Barcelona last time out. We're going to kick off the preview with Ferrari because they are looking for a second win in a row. And the good news is the last time they had the opportunity to do that, they succeeded, albeit towards the end of the 2024 season. So, Harry, the Red Bull Ring, maybe a bit of a test of power, maybe an area that Ferrari haven't been particularly strong in as of yet. Can they go back to back?
It's always tough to count on Ferrari to be good. I mean, be good. But
took him 7 seconds.
Mungo's
the
back.
first segment.
Hey,
quote Mungo.
The last episode, I got a Gary Barlow reference in about 70 seconds.
I need to listen. I'm very excited.
Yeah, look, Ferrari, they're making progress, aren't they? Certainly in the hands of Lewis Hamilton, they've been making steady progress throughout this season, especially in the last 2 races. Obviously, Hamilton won the last one, but Monaco, who's very strong as well, as he was in Canada. So, I still have my doubts about this one. If they can be competitive here, then maybe we got a championship challenge on our hands, boys. Sorry, whisper it. Championship challenge. But yeah, this one's going to be a real test for them because, like I said, the engine power has been their Achilles heel so far. That small turbo that has been electric off the line is probably one of the things that's letting them down when they get to the end of the straight versus their competitors. So yeah, we'll see. Austria is a weird one because obviously you need good straight line speed here, but we often get a bit of I don't want to say mixed up, but sometimes you can get an odd race. Something odd seems to happen in Austria, and maybe Ferrari can capitalize on that. So yeah, I think they'll be in the mix. I suspect that the Mercedes powered cars here, McLaren and Mercedes, may have a bit more of an edge, but I would not count Ferrari out.
We'll see how that impacts our poll 1, 2, 3, of course, that will come up later on in the episode. Sam, what do you think? I've seen some pessimism from people online that this isn't going to be Ferrari's track. Barcelona was good, but this isn't going to be quite as good. You on board with that?
I think there's some real similarities actually here. So they're bringing an engine upgrade, and this is touted to improve the engine output by 15 brake horsepower. Now that's pretty solid in terms of a Formula One car for one engine upgrade. That's a nice number as well to give you a little boost. And hey, in Spielberg, you need that extra oomph going down a straight. And also, it's going to be hot. Barcelona was hot, and I feel like the Ferrari coped well here. We've seen that the Mercedes and the McLaren have both struggled when it gets to the hotter temperatures, and they've made mistakes or they've had reliability problems. So another tick in the Ferrari box. The thing that does worry me at the moment, when it comes to Austria in particular, but also historically at the moment, are their drivers. Both drivers here have picked up very minimal Grand Prix wins over the previous years. Charles Leclerc has one here. I think it was 2022. The first Ferrari win at Austria since 2003, I think it was. And then Lewis Hamilton only has 2 here, one officially, of course, and then one at, Ben, as we were talking about this earlier, the Styrian Grand Prix, which, of course, was its alter ego. Not doing too well. I guess.
Evil alter ego.
Yeah.
Styria.
I assume it's like the Hulk and Bruce Banner or something like that is how I imagine it is. And then on top of that, to pile on to the misery, Charles Leclerc is not having a very good run of results, is he? He ended up coming out of the race after not being particularly quick in Barcelona, of course, having the issue in qualifying. He then crashes in Monaco before that. And then before that, of course, we have Canada, where he's slower than his teammate quite comfortably. Before that is Miami, where he has the spin under all his own conditions and falls again behind his teammate, I think, to 8th place. It was Japan, the last time that we saw Charles Leclerc comfortably beat Lewis Hamilton. And even then, before that was China, where Hamilton beat him again. So Leclerc's form, not in his top books right now, and it is Hamilton that's riding high. But as I just mentioned, Hamilton, this is not a good track for him in comparison to the rest of his record. So the car might be good, but other drivers are going to be able to do this. Also, weirdly eerie that both of them won very similarly after having contact with another driver on the racetrack to then go on and take a victory. So Hamilton hit Rosberg, won, but Verstappen hit Leclerc, lost. It was very interesting on the last lap, I think.
Yes, that was a very interesting Grand Prix. You're right. I don't think this track quite suits Ferrari as much as Barcelona did, but I don't think it's as far different as you'd expect either. I think that the makeup of the track is somewhat similar in that if you think about Barcelona, the first sector is a lot about power. Same at Austria, I would argue. The middle sector is more about cornering speed, and we saw Ferrari were really good in that middle sector in Barcelona. Again, fairly similar, I would say, at Austria. And then the final sector is maybe a bit of a balance, a mix of both. I think, again, that is representative across both tracks. I think in terms of the full throttle percentage that you get on a lap, pretty similar. I think the battery and how easy it will be to regenerate that throughout the Grand Prix. Again, I don't think there'll be much to choose. So if Ferrari were confident, obviously they go on to win Barcelona, there's no massive reason to believe they can't do that here as well. I think the biggest difference is maybe that, again, that middle sector that is maybe more tailored towards Ferrari and Barcelona. Whilst there is a similar sort of layout in Austria, it's not as long as the middle sector is at Barcelona. So maybe their best sectors don't make up as much of the lap as what we had last time out. But yeah, a lot of similar conditions as well. It's hot, and Sammy just raised that maybe Ferrari are dealing with these hot temperatures better than McLaren and Mercedes are. And if you look at tyre wear, like we had finally 2 and 3 stop races in Barcelona, I'm not sure we'll get to 3 stops here, but we are again using the C3, 4 and 5 tyres, same as last year in Austria, same as Barcelona. And last year we had a mix of 1 and 2 stop races. So this might not be as straightforward as some of the early races of this year were, where it was just medium for 40 laps, hard for 40 laps, and you're done. I don't think we'll be in that situation. So I think they've got a few reasons to be optimistic, but to bring it all back around to what Harry started his point with, it's Ferrari. So you can't trust them too much. Harry, what do you make of that rumoured engine upgrade that they are bringing? Is that going to answer all of their problems?
I mean, they don't got too many problems, Ferrari, which is, again, is unusual for them. But like I mentioned, I think straight line speed's been their Achilles heel. So this can't make it worse. I don't think it's necessarily going to put them at the top of the speed traps this weekend. But like you said, there's and as I said earlier, there's other factors that could come into play here at Austria, and if just that little bit of extra straight line speed, even if it's not at the top and not faster than them, than the Mercedes, if it puts them in the mix more and allows them to utilize this, the skills they have on the tires and stuff like that, then yeah, it could be the thing that makes all the difference for them. So yeah, I'm not expecting them to shoot to the top of the speed traps, but who knows?
Yeah, based on the upgrade that's coming, it doesn't seem like it's a massive one in its own right, and seems to be more about the first in this project, and it's like it's the appetizer almost for what's to come. But even if it equates to 1/10 of a second per lap, as an example, like a fairly small improvement, 1/10 of a second was the difference between Hamilton not being on pole and being on pole in the last race. And you aggregate that over a full race distance, you're talking like 7 or 8 seconds that 1/10 per lap can find you. So even small improvements could be really critical for Ferrari this weekend. Sam, you mentioned some of maybe Leclerc and Hamilton's struggles at this track previously. It feels like Leclerc's have been relatively inconsistent. I was looking through some of Hamilton's stats here, and we're so used to seeing him win 5, 6, 7 times at a circuit, and we're coming from a track that he's now won at 7 times. He does only have 2 pole positions here. His teammate Bottas at Mercedes had 3, by the way. And whilst he has, we'll call it 2 wins here based on the Styrian GP as well, Rosberg won here twice as Hamilton's teammate, Bottas won here twice as Hamilton's teammate, and so did Russell in 2024. Should that concern him?
it is odd to see Hamilton on the back foot when it comes to statistics. He so regularly dominates so many of these. I think I saw a list the other day that was like Hamilton now holds the top 20 oldest Grand Prix wins on the grid right now, with Perez being 21st or something like that. It's just another record.
Alonso is crying in the corner, man.
My man's never getting another top spot. I'm so sorry. But I think Hamilton will take it in his stride. I think if there's any driver this year looks at a challenge and goes, I feel better this year, I can do a good job, it's going to be Lewis Hamilton right now. He looks so competent in braking zones. Now, we've seen over the last couple of seasons, especially with the ground effect cars, he really struggled with confidence in the car, especially through braking and cornering. It looks like that is almost his advantage over all the rest around him. Now, turn 3 especially, but also the downhill into 4, and then the final corner, you need to be pretty nifty on the brakes. And I do think that if he can gain an extra half a tenth overall on all drivers there, the little oomph from the 15 brake horsepower from the engine, the fantastic acceleration that the Ferrari has to kick onto these straights, they're all little things that might chip away that mean that Hamilton, in theory, could be very competitive. But don't rule out Charles Leclerc. We know he's a qualifying fiend, and I think he will quite comfortably bounce back.
I was looking through some of both Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc's stats earlier today. And the reason I was looking through Charles Leclerc's stats, I have to shout out Graham Staircase on Patreon, because Graham Staircase put Leclerc under pressure. And I had to go back to, when was the last time that Leclerc lost to a teammate 5 races in a row, which will happen if he loses to Hamilton this weekend? You have to go back to versus Sebastian Vettel very early on in 2019 when he'd just joined Ferrari. That's how far you have to go back for the last time he was really struggling versus a teammate in this way. He does have, again, a bit of a mixed relationship with Austria. It either goes very well for him, win in 2022, multiple second place finishes as well, or he's had some absolute stinkers here as well. So which way it goes, it feels like he needs a result. Yeah. What about Mercedes, Harry? Kimi Antonelli, up until maybe Barcelona, felt like he could do no wrong. He's living off these multiple wins in a row, and suddenly he's brought back down to earth, no fault of his own, due to retirement. How important is it for him to bounce back from that?
I don't think it is that important at all, because for him, obviously he doesn't want to lose another 25 points to Hamilton and 18 to his teammate. But for him personally, he'd overtaken his teammate in that race. Was slightly unlucky with the VSC, although albeit I think maybe Hamilton on the pace he had would have won anyway. So I don't think he necessarily needs to look at this and go, I need to make up for Barcelona, because I don't think he didn't do too much wrong there. He was still very competitive and was set to gain on his nearest rival. So obviously a strong result is still needed. He wants to beat his nearest challenger, but I don't think this is necessarily a situation where he needs to bounce back. Like you say, I think a strong result will do absolutely just fine. And I think mentally for Antonelli, we've seen already he's very strong in the head. I don't think the retirement from Barcelona is going to weigh on his mind too much at all, to be honest.
This is a bit of a strange one, Sam, in that Austria last year for Antonelli did not go very well at all, in that it lasted 3 corners. Now, thanks to other junior series, he knows this track quite well anyway. But in terms of racing experience at Spielberg in F1, incredibly limited.
Yeah, the last 2 times he's visited here, he has DNF'd. Last year, you'll remember he had that very infamous moment where he basically cut across the turn 3 braking zone, went straight into the side of Max Verstappen. Not great, not ideal in that situation.
Brave at Austria.
Yeah, and then in F2, of course, he also had a DNF the last time he was here in Junior Formula as well. So he's not living the dream when it comes to great results at Spielberg. But I think, much like what Harry said, I don't think he needs to throw himself into this race and get himself all pumped up and psyched up and go, I must get the win, I must bounce back. Because he's already created this buffer. He's already got this lovely little cushion to drivers around him. And if Ferrari are going to start playing a regular part in the fight for wings, Russell's fight back to the top just got harder, because he doesn't just have to beat his teammate anymore. He might have to beat Leclerc. He might have to beat Hamilton. The McLarens might be more competitive here because they were closing the gap before they had a bit of a dire one in Barcelona. So it genuinely might allow him to just kind of relax into the weekend, settling. And you know what? If he picks up a second place and Russell wins, is it really a problem? No, because Russell doesn't even go into second place in the standings.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to win here necessarily. He wouldn't turn one down. I'm very sure of that. But equally, I don't think this is one where it's make or break. Antonelli needs to get back into winner's circle. Like if it happens, great. He'll just want a solid result, whether that's a podium or just being able to show similar pace to what he had in Barcelona again at a track that he didn't really get the opportunity to show what he could do last year. But similar to what you said earlier, Sam, I am a bit concerned about Mercedes a bit more generally here, just again based on those battery issues. We know it's caused them to back out of intra-team fights earlier on in the season because they were worried about the health of these batteries. And as the temperature rises, and again, this is going to be even warmer than it was at Barcelona, there might be something that Mercedes are a little bit worried about. We spoke a lot about reliability when it comes to Mercedes on our Patreon episode that we recorded yesterday, and will be out very soon for those of you on Patreon. How will George Russell be feeling, Harry? Because he picked up some points over Antonelli in Spain, some much needed points.
Much needed points, but I do worry mentally for George Russell how he's feeling after Barcelona because, as you've already touched on, I think. He was still overtaken by his teammate on track, on pace. So I worry for him if he's able to. It's weird to say bounce back from a result where he's gained points, but I think he does need to bounce back somewhat. I think he can. So sometimes it is all it takes in F1 and the sort of psyche of a driver. Even though the overtake from Antonelli was not ideal for him. Just the fact that he's gained some ground back on him might just be enough to switch something in Russell. You never know how it can go. And I think if we look at last year's championship battle between Piastri and Norris, I think at one point in the season you'd be quite confident to say that Piastri had this sewn up, given how strong he was and how mentally strong he was, and things started to fall apart later on. So things can change quite quickly. The points he gained are important. I think he needs to continue to build on that. And it's important this weekend that he does beat him on track, on pace.
Yes. And we'll have to see how that goes. Of course, Russell did beat Antonelli on pace last time out, but very much only in qualifying. Will that carry through to the race or not? And George Russell, even though it was a rather fortuitous one, has taken a victory at the Red Bull Ring before. Let's focus on Red Bull. Of course, vested interest from Red Bull this weekend. Something of a home race, depending on where you class Red Bull as being from. And I'm sure there will, as always, be a lot of support for Max Verstappen in the stands. Lauren Mekies was asked about a potential upgrade that will be coming at the track. He said, "There's no doubt that the Austrian package alone will not be enough. We know we'll have some further steps needed, but what is important is that on that continuous closing the gap trajectory that we've been on since post-Japan is that we continue to get closer, that we don't talk anymore about 4/10, but hopefully about less," which 4/10 is the gap that Mecki seems to think that they are currently losing out on versus maybe Mercedes and maybe Ferrari as well now. Sam, do you think that this upgrade can get them in contention?
It's tricky to know without understanding fully what parts they're deciding to bring here, and it's still relatively unknown where those upgrades are going to sit. The bit that worries me about the conversation, the interview that you mentioned, was when asked about the weight of the car, Mekies kind of sidesteps the question and responds with, eat less. That's what I'm going to do here in Austria. I'm going to eat less. So you think, it's kind of worrying that you don't feel particularly confident to talk about the fact that you've still got a chunky car and it's a straight line track and you need to be light and nimble to go quickly in a straight line. So if they can get closer to McLaren, great. That's a big success. Or in the words of George Russell, great success.
I like this car.
It's just going to throw back to Australia, isn't it? If they can be close to McLaren here and they're not going to be in that awkward gap between 6th place and then most likely Lawson or Gasly driving around at the back of the points, that's a good step forward. But Mecki seems very clear that this won't be the decision maker. It won't be what brings them back to full action. What they can rely on, though, is the fact that clearly that ECU, that power unit they've got in there, is very, very good. So if they're able to actually bring in some major power upgrade or at least maximize the engine they've got under the hood of the car, they might be able to be a bit more competitive in the 1st and 3rd sector specifically.
Yes, that almighty ICE that they've got. Oh, Red Bull. Oh, dear.
Good job, guys.
You're right in that Red Bull are being very coy about what they are and aren't bringing as part of this upgrade. We've had a bit more maybe directness from other teams about exactly what they're targeting. Here, we don't really know what it is. I think he's right in that he's saying that they've improved since Japan. And their first major upgrade of the year came in Miami. And I remember a lot of the conversations we had going into that Miami race, because we had so many conversations that we could have across those episodes at that point in time. We were talking about how important it was that they got this right, because in Japan and in China, they were essentially part of the midfield rather than being part of that top 3 or 4 group. And it did work. Verstappen was on the front row. He was competing higher up than what we'd seen previously. I think Barcelona was an expected struggle. Weirdly, and I know it is weird, a long straight and medium speed corners aren't what Red Bull like. And it sounds weird because, again, they have the best ICE, but that battery is hurting them so much that apparently that type of track isn't good for them. This track, again, isn't too dissimilar from that. So if the upgrade does work here, that's pretty encouraging that they might have solved some issues. You're right, Sam. Biggest issue about the car, it's not on the minimum weight. They aren't the only ones. Williams certainly another that are guilty of that. They are focusing on getting that down as low as they possibly can. They believed around the time of Miami that this was the upgrade that would see them to that minimum weight. I don't know what to make of his response to the question, in that he wouldn't answer it directly on have you actually got there or not. I'm a little bit worried, like you are, that maybe they're not there yet, but we'll have to see. Harry, do you think that this upgrade can help Red Bull, help Verstappen get into some podium or even winning contention?
Yeah, I think, like Sam says, it really depends on what the upgrade tackles here. Because if it is the weight, that's that could be a real help. When that comment from Mekis makes it sound like if he ever sees Verstappen or Hadjar with like a snack in there and he's just going to bat it out, like, no, you cannot be eating more food.
If you cut it in half, it's half the calories. You should have twice as much. You know what's got no calories? Oh. Dust.
So if that can help reduce the weight there, maybe, or if it's going to help top line speed, then that could help. But like you said, it's been a struggle where they're on tracks where the battery is letting them down, and I think this could be another case of that here for Red Bull. I've got images of them sending Verstappen out on like Monza spec wings, just being like, off you go, son.
It just doesn't stop for turn 3. Just keeps going.
Deal with that.
Takes off into the steering hills.
Yeah, because
they really would be alive at that point.
Well,
with the sound of Max screaming.
Yeah, but I do. If it's one of those where if someone like Verstappen could just handle it for the middle sector, and then it gives him enough top line speed, then I think they'd do it. So, we shall see. I'm dubious, but maybe it will help them get into the mix. I don't think it's going to catapult them to the front anyway.
We need the return of some of Verstappen's strategies from the middle of last year, where it was just, here's a really weird setup for you, Max. Go and get pole and see if you can just be really wide out on track.
Do you remember, was it last year when it was raining at Silverstone and he had the skinniest
Yeah.
Off you go.
Deal with that.
Have fun.
Yeah, the other maybe slight issue that I've got about Red Bull and whether their upgrade tackles this or not, I don't know. Tyre wear seems to be quite bad for them at the moment versus some of the other top teams. So again, if it's looking like hot temperatures, a lot of tyre wear, 2 stops, maybe even 3 stops, that could be a concern for them.
What compounds have we got going to Austria, Ben? Do you know?
Yeah, C3, C4, C5, so the 3 softest possible tyres in the range.
Okay, that should be interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that. Don't mind that at all. This is going to sound like a very negative question, Sam. Are they just doomed because of the way that ADUO has fallen for them? We're talking about upgrades, whether they can get in contention. Is it just a bit of a plaster until these other teams make their engine upgrades and they fall back again?
ADUO is such a silly system. In principle, in the most basic theory, it should work as a balancing level. But why are we creating a system that where teams are out there, brands, motorsport brands that make engines and make things that go quickly are out there to make themselves look as bad as possible to try and do as well as possible. It's a bit farcical. And I do think that Red Bull have been stung here because they put together clearly a very good engine, but their battery is clearly so poor that it just means that they've kind of gone one step forward with maybe these aero upgrades. But now they have to go 2 steps back because they've actually made a good enough product on one side where battery and energy is so important that they're now going to kind of be shafted, essentially, where the likes of Mercedes, who already have a better aero package, can just go past them. McLaren, who arguably are very similar, if not better, will go past them with the benefit of Mercedes. And Ferrari get double that. They go even further, and they're still comfortably better. So it feels like it's going to be a really tricky battle, and they almost get a little bit of that Newey magic in the sense of the aerodynamic department to try and get them the step back in line that they needed. Unfortunately, he does appear to be using, I don't know, some kind of dark aura.
Not a lot of magic going on at the moment.
No. Rustle up that bag, do you, Adrian?
Stephen Mulhern type of magic.
Yeah. He's making a coin come out from behind your granddad's ear in the nursing home.
And he drops the coin.
Oh, oh God, those sausage fingers.
He's like, wait.
Magic! Alonso's in the old people's home with him, shaking his head.
Shut up, Adrian.
I have an important comment. Adrian Newey is the least weigh guy I've ever met in my life.
Yeah,
that man has never weighed once.
Especially a weigh.
Oh, whoa.
Whoa.
He's a nod of approval. He's not a weigh.
He's not
no
a nod of
chance.
approval. He's not approving of anything.
No, not at the moment. What do you think, Harry? If this upgrade doesn't come through for them, are we faced maybe with a prospect this year that Red Bull are only going to be able to compete at very certain types of tracks like a Singapore or a Hungary or maybe Monaco that we didn't quite see in the race, but we did at least see in qualifying?
It could well be. And it kind of goes back to where they almost were at the start of the hybrid era, right? Where that engine, or it was the Renault engine then, and they could only really do tracks where it was sort of tight and twisty and downforce reliant. So, Hungary, etc., Singapore, like you mentioned, Monaco. It could well be, at least for this year, where they can only compete on tracks that aren't going to affect them on the batteries so much. So it's an important upgrade, but I fear it might be a little bit not really on them, like you said, Sam, but a little bit too little, too late.
For those of you who are maybe hoping for a Verstappen victory or a better performance for Verstappen versus what we saw last time out in Barcelona, he has 5 wins here, 5 pole positions here, 8 podiums. So his track record is very good at this track, as it is at most tracks.
Is he the most successful driver here?
Ooh. I feel like Alain Prost won a lot of Austrian GP, but I don't know off the top of my head. In modern times, yes. Yeah, he would be. I think this track very much suits his style, by the way. Like, he's very, I don't know, pushing the car in terms of late braking and like really aggressive corner entry. That is Max Verstappen's style, and that style very much does suit this sort of track. And again, it's only 10 corners. Like, if you can make the difference in a couple of these corners, you're kind of dealing with a third of the lap. Like, you can really make a difference as a driver here.
Be interesting to see how track limits play a part this year as well. They obviously revamped the curbs quite recently, so especially on that final corner, it's quite an aggressive curb. We see a lot of track limits running wide, and that might be a problem again for Kimi Antonelli, who has had quite a few track warnings as of recent.
Yeah, and of course you need to be very careful about track limits at some of these corners, in that you'll be met by grass or gravel. So bit less of an ideal situation for him, even than a track limits penalty. Harry, is it McLaren's time finally?
I think they're gonna be strong here. Is it their time finally? I think I said this on Sunday's episode, but like they've been sort of sniffing at it for a little while. They haven't quite got there.
Like a dog at a butcher.
Exactly. Yeah.
I could get in there.
Could get a steak. Yeah, I think McLaren are going to be strong here. It's just about whether they can get in the mix, but also execute a race, i.e., like not have a weird DNF or something like that. So I'm sure reliability may be something they're concerned about, if it is something that Mercedes have been concerned about as well. But pace-wise, I think this could be a good weekend. There's somewhere where I think both these drivers go well, but Norris especially likes Austria, doesn't he? So this could well be a strong weekend for him.
It feels like the team is playing catch up a little bit at the moment, just based on, I don't think they've got an upgrade coming, at least from what we've heard, into this weekend very specifically. They obviously had a tough start to the year, including pre-season. And then even when they brought quite a large upgrade in Canada, particularly relating to the front wing, they had to take it off the car during that Canadian GP weekend, didn't bother putting it back on for Monaco, then did put it back on for Barcelona, and they believe it's worked as expected 3 weekends later than they thought it was going to. So that could hurt them a little bit. Sam, unlike Red Bull and Ferrari, who have maybe gone for slightly more eye-catching big upgrades at a couple of Grand Prix, it sounds like, based on what Andrea Stella is saying, they're going to go with a little bit more of a continuous improvement approach. I think that might work in the long run, but I don't know if in the short run that's going to quite get them there.
Yeah, it does work in the long run, I think. Less risk, I believe. If you've got a continuous improvement, it stops you having one of these weekends where you bring, 8 upgrades, as we've seen the likes of Ferrari room before, and going, 6 of these don't bloody work. We've just spent loads of money on these and none of them work. At least with McLaren, they could go, well, that M plate that we brought, yeah, it's annoying, but we'll just take it off again. Then it's fine.
Bit annoying, isn't it?
Bit annoying.
Look at it. A little scrub. Get it off.
You don't work. Get out. Yeah, I mean, they have been on the back foot all season, realistically. They're on the back foot when it comes to the relationship with Mercedes. It feels a lot more kind of cloak and dagger than it used to, secret alleyways and not understanding what's going on with the messaging, the feedback, the problems with the car. They even had that issue with the battery, which it took them a whole nother weekend to work out what was going on because the analytics have to come back from so far away. It's so hard to understand for them to know what's going on with the car when it's wrong, and then they aren't creating the same level of chassis that Mercedes are choosing as well, and then it goes wrong in that sense with the upgrades as well. So they're chipping away at it, but much like Red Bull, not to the same extent, but still much like Red Bull, it does feel like they're just on the back foot, and they need something to really go their way. And I do think that means something going wrong for the others to allow them to basically get their foot back in the door.
Shall we, for the first time in quite a while as a trio, head to bold predictions?
Gather around, little children, and listen to my song about my F1 bold predictions and how they'll all be wrong.
Just an update for you, Harry, in the time you've been away. There's been a lot of bold prediction action. I've managed to extend my lead on you from 0 to 0.
Oh, huge.
But
He's got you there.
Sam's got a couple right.
Hey.
2!
Yeah.
So it's 2-0.
Yeah.
2!
No.
I believe is how it's said.
Yeah, I've really used the time the advantage that I've had on you in that regard to good effect. I'm very proud of myself.
It's like when you play a kid like Mario Kart. You're like, yeah, you go for half a lap and I'll catch up with you, but you haven't caught up.
My controller's not plugged in though.
Yeah, practice rung out.
It's all right. You guys and producer Kirsty are all way ahead of me in F1 fantasy. So
God, if it goes like that again for this week,
also
that was a tough week.
After the Monaco thing, I've got worse. I've gone down again since the Monaco updated standing.
I didn't look.
Bloody Gasly.
I didn't look.
Bloody Gasly. Harry, since you haven't done one of these in a while, I'll let you go first. What's your bold prediction?
No Mercedes on the podium.
Oof. Not required for the bold element of the prediction, but why?
Couple of scrubs, aren't they? Really? So
Okay.
Just rubbish.
Right.
Just rubbish.
that's real crap. Don't know. Maybe a DNF like reliability in there. Maybe Russell has a Monaco-esque race. I don't know.
I'm still annoyed that my bold prediction for Barcelona, which was they would have contact and they would retire Hamilton and Rosberg-esque from 10 years ago, I still feel like that was on the cusp and it never quite came through. Sam, can you extend your lead with this bold prediction?
I don't think so. I don't think. But I'm going to go with an Ollie Behrman P6 or better.
Now,
Ooh.
I'm not going to ask a follow-up on that just because we are going to chat Haas after the break.
We are.
So it might well come up in that. My bold prediction, I'm going back to the well. It's been a couple of races, but I'm back. It's going to happen. Audi, top 10 finish for both drivers. Come on!
The engine's the worst bit of the car. This is a terrible choice.
No, it was fine last time out, apart from it shut down because Lawson went through gravel. It's going to go great.
I like the idea that the Audi engine's just like, no, I don't do that anymore. No.
Debate say 2 in top 10. Pull the car.
Yeah.
Cut the car.
They can't. Well, I'm sure they can. It can't go on like this. It can. It's the amount of times they have had the 5th fastest car and then just not converted it. One of these races at some point, and it will be one where I don't predict it, they are actually going to get it done. So it won't be this one.
We'll see.
What about pole 1, 2, 3? Harry, we know there won't be any Mercedes in the 1, 2, 3 section of your predictions. What's it looking like?
Pole will be George Russell. First will be Lewis Hamilton. Second will be Lando Norris. And third will be Charles Leclerc.
Whoa.
Back-to-back Lewis Hamilton victories predicted by Harry Eade. What have you got, Sam?
Pole, Charles Leclerc. The wing, Charles Leclerc. Second place, Lewis Hamilton. Third will be Antonelli.
Oof. I'm kind of mashing your 2 predictions together a little bit here because on pole, I've got George Russell. Taking the win, I've got Charles Leclerc.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Second place, I've got Lewis Hamilton. Third place, I've got George Russell.
Where's the little Kimmy gone?
He's a 4th.
Sorry, Italy.
Yeah. Again, what I predict usually ends up being wrong. So actually, Italy's very happy about what I've said there. Let's get into the midfield. And I want to spend a bit of time on Haas, and we spoke a little bit about Haas in the break that we just had in a slightly different context. Ayo Komatsu, after the Barcelona race, was asked about the weekend that didn't go very well. He said this weekend the car wasn't quick enough, and I think operationally we weren't good enough. From day one this weekend, we didn't operate at the level we should be operating at, and that has had a knock-on effect into today. In the race, communication wasn't good enough. Yes, the car needs to be improved and be faster, but we're not getting the best out of it. As a team, we need to look at ourselves and improve very quickly. A disgruntled Ayo Komatsu, Sam.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to cook up a tasty meal in the kitchen. So hopefully he's got some fresh ingredients out there and he's going to mixing something up because my boy likes to cook. I think Haas could be better here. Now, I'm not going to expect groundbreaking results, and I must admit my bold prediction of Behrman in the top 6 is a bold one indeed. It's kind of based on a lot of the fact that Haas's reliability is actually stronger than a lot of the field, and that comes because of the Ferrari power unit that they've got there. It tends to be treating them quite well. Also, with the rumoured engine upgrade, if they receive this, I think it could help them just a little bit. And Haas's downfall is aerodynamic. They're struggling with longer form corners. Now, that plays a very small part of this Austrian racetrack. So if they can qualify well, Behrman, probably not Ocon, sorry, Ben, then I do think that they might actually achieve a little bit more than they did in Barcelona. I still think it's an uphill battle, but I do think that overall this is going to be a better result because they were pretty woeful in Barcelona. But that is partially because I think the track, especially the middle part, just did not suit the characteristics of the car.
Can they do anything about Alpine Racing Bulls here, Harry?
Yeah, I'm with Sam. I think this will be a better weekend for Haas. They seem to, and obviously Komatsu saying, executionally they weren't great in Barcelona, but they do seem to have a bit of an up and down season on pace or execution of races, etc. So it's one of those. I mean, the midfield, as ever, is still pretty tight, and form seems to fluctuate quite a lot. But if they can just pull together a good weekend, I think they can get a strong result here. But it's gonna reliability, like you said, Sam's gonna be a factor. Pace wise, maybe they won't be the quickest still, but if they can just be in the mix, who knows what can happen.
They started the year very well. It's almost as if and it's not been overnight that it's turned sour for them. It just seems to be a gradual reduction back down to wherever they sit at the moment, 9th or 8th. It's almost as if they took a shower at the beginning of the season and they smell really good and they just haven't taken a shower since. It's not like one day the smell's going to hit you, but over time it's going to make an impact. And I promise that's not related to current very hot conditions at all.
Ocon's put his hand up in class and you've just, hang on.
Oof.
I ain't noticed that before.
Don't do my boy Ocon like that.
He's being a bit whiffy, mate.
Yeah. But to be fair to the rest of the midfield, and I'm specifically talking Alpine and Racing Bulls here and not Audi, they have done a very good job in the last couple of races of maximizing what they've got available to them. Alpine have been consistently okay kind of everywhere, and credit to them. They've been top 7 in every Grand Prix this year, which for a midfield team is pretty good going. Racing Bulls, and this is a stat that doesn't feel right, but somehow is, in the last 2 races, so Monaco and Barcelona, the only team to have scored points with both drivers is Racing Bulls. And credit to it's a pretty consistent lineup at this point in the year, which I'm not sure we were banking on at the beginning of the season. With Lawson, his form is kind of a bit up and down coming into 2026. Lindblad, of course, the only rookie on the grid, and yet both of them seem to be doing a really reasonable job right now. Where it leaves Haas is quite a few points down on both of them in the championship, but they've even been maybe a bit lucky, Haas, that Williams have kind of gone back a little bit the last couple of races, because otherwise they might well be ahead of Haas in the championship as well. 17 points in the first 2 races for the team. They've had 4 in the last 5. That probably speaks volumes. And whilst the pace isn't there in race trim, I think the bigger issue at the moment is that qualifying pace. I was having a look at the average grid positions for both drivers. Behrman is 14.57. So on average, getting out of Q1, but only just. Ocon is 14.71. They're basically exact.
Night and day, innit? Night and day, how bad he is.
Yeah, Behrman is a full 0.014 ahead of Ocon.
Destroying him.
Yeah. I think that indicates that this is, again, a bit of a Haas issue, that both of them don't seem to be able to get much from it on a Saturday. So until they solve that, and maybe this is the weekend they start to do so, it's tough to see them competing with the rest of the midfield, I think.
Yeah, I think they need to be careful, looking over their shoulder. You say about Williams, I think they'll have much better Grand Prix than they did at Barcelona. James Vowles was really quite disgruntled about how the car was performing. They had the issue with the camera falling into the car. Albon wasn't performing anyway, wasn't great, exciting, so kind of keeping that afloat at the moment. But it is only a matter of time, I think, as well, till Audi actually properly turn up. They could deliver.
I know
a
we
whole
joke
weekend.
about it, but they do have okay pace for a midfield car.
Monaco was good. They just couldn't really turn it into something. And there were glimmers of something being good in Barcelona. You saw Hulkenberg chasing down Lawson until the kill switch was fully engaged by a pebble. It just feels like if Haas aren't careful, they'll slip from being in front of these two to very quickly behind them both.
What do you think Komatsu meant by operationally not good enough?
Did they have a very slow pit stop in Barcelona? I feel like Behrman had a slow stop.
Might well have done. Yeah.
Maybe something was wrong with the kitchen when he was cooking.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That's it.
I ain't got no gas, he said. I'm going to have to go get some wood.
Yeah, I was... Because he doesn't address it directly, does it? So it must be that.
I'm assuming they just need to actually hire some more people and spend up to the cost cap, because they're running on bloody fumes out there.
This is just a plea to Gene. This is all this is.
A plea to Gene sounds like a great album title. Are you Komatsu with his debut album? A plea to Gene.
He's already been singing that multiple times.
Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering whether it was something to do with the setup of the car. I know they had some issues with tyre wear, particularly on Ocon's side of the car, in that they didn't feel very happy about the setup that they'd gone with from sort of FP2 through to Grand Prix. I don't know if it was a bit of a shot at whether it's Ocon or the team to be like, in terms of communicating what they need from a setup, not being able to do it as effectively as they possibly could. I don't know.
Mysterious from Haas.
Indeed. Who do you think is winning the midfield scrap, Harry?
What, in the season?
This weekend specific, if you had to pick a driver, let's say, rather than a team.
Ooh. Pierre Gasly.
He's doing the business, isn't he?
He's doing the business, despite what I said about his ruining my fantasy or making it worse. Gasly's been on top form. I mean, he's been on top form really for the past couple of years, but he couldn't show it last year. Give him a car that's good enough, and Gasly will deliver. So I'd place my safe money on him. Not that I've got any safe money.
I was thinking a bit about the sort of midfield scrap, Sam, and thinking with qualifying in Barcelona how important it was in that Lawson managed to out-qualify Lindblad. And Lindblad, whilst he did a very good job on it, was kind of on that weird strategy that I don't think he would have been on if he had made it to Q3. Similar to Audi again, Bortoletto dropped back a couple of positions off of not getting to Q3. Suddenly he's behind a Haas and can't really take advantage of it. It feels like that scrap to get, it's essentially two cars that can get through to Q3 from the midfield. It's really important that these teams nail that Q2 session to make sure it's them.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I think it's Max Verstappen who's winning the midfield battle.
Oof. Oof, size large.
Second time again. Yeah, I mean, he's only 14 points clear of Pierre Gasly, who actually splits the two Red Bull
14,
in the
is it?
in the standings.
Jeez.
Gasly is 7 clear of Hadjar right now. So the gulf is not that wide, I'm afraid, Red Bull fans. I know that's really difficult to hear, and Red Bull have been struggling, but Gasly is doing the business. He's turning up 9 to 5, he's clocking out on time, and he's getting it done, and getting it done consistently enough that Liam Lawson, who you argue is actually probably the next closest contender, is 13 points back. 13 points in the midfield right now is really hard to score. That's going to be, I think, 4 or 5 Grand Prix of finishing 7th, 8th, 9th, if you can get it. If Gasly isn't
you need
there,
another Monaco where there's a lot of
you
DNFs.
do. You need some crazy penalty race or something, or you need to be the guy who gets that lucky 3rd or 4th, which happens maybe once or twice in a season. It's tricky to overturn that. So it is between Gasly and Lawson, and I think that Gasly's just got that quality, despite this being by far Lawson's greatest few races. I think he's really stepped up. And I want to praise Liam Lawson. I think he's really come into his own this season after I did give him a little bit of stick very recently.
No.
Never. Of course not.
I think you're biased for Lawson.
Do you think so?
Yeah. And the people in the comments agree.
This is great to hear.
Yeah, consistently, actually.
Good.
It's always the problem.
Glad that I've swayed the public opinion. Fascinating. It's Pierre Gasly.
Okay, good answer. Under pressure. Harry, who or what is under pressure?
I am going for Charles Leclerc. It's quite an easy one, but the boy needs a good weekend, doesn't he? He just needs...
My boy!
my boy! Cedric Leclerc.
Leclerc can't be a thing.
He's dead!
Harry Potter is dead!
Dead! Two different things. Literally two different things.
Yeah.
We'll stop misquoting Potter. Yeah, I'll go for Charles Leclerc. He needs just a solid, good weekend. One that's not in a barrier at any point.
Ideally, that'd be good. Write that in the book. Sam, who or what is under pressure?
I'm going Alex Albon for this one.
Okay.
He's only a point behind Carlos Sainz in the standings, but it does feel like there is a bit of a gap in what they're able to muster up in that Williams right now. I do think that this track will suit Williams a little more than what we saw at Barcelona. I expect them to be more competitive in that midfield battle. And I do think there might be a point or two up for grabs for them with that Mercedes power unit coming into play, especially if the weight can keep coming off that car. But Albon has been struggling. He's regularly behind Sainz quite comfortably. Barcelona, I think, was worrying to the point where, Ben, I think you mentioned this a few episodes ago. You said that you think that we've basically found, paraphrasing, you found Albon's limit and that Sainz is that first proper challenge and now he's comfortable. They can't really seem to overturn him, and maybe that is starting to come true. So I think Albon needs a bit of a result.
I'm going to go with a team. I'm going to go with Red Bull. I think that upgrade is absolutely massive. And it's not just for this season. Again, we've spoken about how those are duo upgrades. They are coming for the other teams. They're not going to be coming for Red Bull. If they don't go very far in terms of this upgrade, and Verstappen is looking at the situation as it is in F1 at the moment, it still hangs in the balance as to what his future looks like. Could be quite important in that regard, I think.
When do you think we'll know? This is one of those things that's going to go on and on and on.
Do you remember when Mercedes still hadn't signed Lewis Hamilton and it was like testing was about to start?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like we're in
Like that.
February.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Are you here, Lewis?
I don't know, man.
I know where am I going, man?
Hey, Will, man. It's got a race.
At that point, you had Esteban Gutierrez in the pits like, come on, it's my turn.
Stay there, Hermano.
I don't know what the accent was.
He's American, man.
But he's Mexican.
Lewis is saying it to us.
Oh, right. I'm with you. I thought Guti was saying it to him. Okay.
Oh, it's too hot to laugh this man.
Oh,
Really is.
Esteban wouldn't struggle in this heat.
I fear a lot of the last 10 minutes is just utterly unusable.
We're back.
We're so back again.